Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the very first mini episode version of the BBR podcast. My name is Dave Glaser in Denver, Colorado, and I wanted to jump on today and tell you a little bit more around the story of why I started the podcast. Not so much specifically about the 2 or 3 people that I met in early 2018 that I felt were inauthentic, and then I needed to explore where, how, and when I would find something a little bit more authentic for me to really flourish in a relationship, to really grow to the point of where I want to be, right, with somebody else. I think that that's the most important, is that I didn't necessarily think I was going to do this all on my own. I began the BBR podcast with the intention of finding more authentic people around Denver. And I'm going to tell you, after 7 months, almost 8 months, 30 episodes, I could not be more grateful for the journey that you guys have come along with me on this. And I cannot say thank you enough to all of the expert guests that we've had on, the real life daters that we've had on as well. The podcast for me has been one of the best personal growth journeys I've ever begun. And now reflecting on it after so many months and so many conversations, more conversations than even just the experts that we have on the podcast. The Believe, Be Real, Be Bold podcast has inspired more people to reach out to me and discuss what authenticity means to them, what vulnerability does for them in an authentic context. And because of those relationships and because of those conversations that I've had with sometimes complete strangers or people who have become my friends as a result of that conversation, or as a result, like somebody comes to me as an expert guest. I am so thankful for that part of the journey because it has been so instrumental for me in discovering why authenticity meant so much to me and why I was seeking it so much. All right, so because I met 2 to 3 people in the spring of 2018 that I felt were inauthentic, it caused me to begin the journey of discovering what authenticity was for me. And I think that that's why I want to bring it up today, is because it had nothing to do with the people that were across the table from me. What I have learned after 6, 7, or 8 months of hosting the podcast is that those people were simply just a reflection of who I was at that time. And it was a clue. It was a lesson learned. It was a message from the universe, or who I believe God was speaking to me about, Dave, who it is that you need to become in order to be your best, most authentic, most vulnerable, most transparent self. So I needed to meet those 2 to 3 people, whether it was a romantic relationship or whether it was basically just a few dates and then we moved on because it wasn't the right fit. I needed to go through that experience, and out of that came a podcast built on authenticity and vulnerability. And I didn't know what authentic dating was in June or July of 2018 when I started interviewing our experts. But what I've learned over that time is so much more important than what I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to be able to find authentic people in Denver, but what ended up happening is that I needed to create authenticity within myself. And so therefore, I've gone through this process of learn, and then apply some of those findings that I've discovered through those conversations with other people to my dating life. So I learn, and then apply it to the next people that I meet. And each and every single time that I go out with somebody new, that I meet somebody new, they are a little bit more authentic and a little bit closer to what it is that I'm actually looking for before I get into the next relationship that I choose to be in. And what I'm grateful for, what I'm most grateful for, is that it's still a reflection of who I've become in this short journey that you guys have been following along with me on. My personal growth journey began longer than 7 months ago. I was reading books like The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, learning about what my limiting beliefs were, why I believed I was a burden on other people, why I believed I was a burden on myself, and why I didn't believe that I would ever measure up, or why my fear of outshining my family members actually held me back personally, professionally, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. All of those factors began with that book, The Big Leap. And that was, almost 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, that I picked up that book for the first time. And because I've gone through that process of discovering what my limiting beliefs are, addressing them, now I can create foundational beliefs here in 2019 of where I want to be, who I want to be, where I want to go, now that I've put the past behind me, basically, or put those thoughts behind me. And that was a very important part of the journey that I had to go on, to self-discovery, to self-awareness. And then about a year later, I was able to listen to my clients. They were giving me encouragement, and they're like, Dave, we believe that you would love this Enneagram workshop that's coming up in February or March of 2017. My clients are raving about this opportunity, and I said, you know what? I'm free that night. Let me jump on board. It's only $35. It includes dinner and a cash bar. That's really cool. So I go to this Enneagram workshop, and that's where I discovered the first time that I was the challenger. And understanding what my tendencies were back then, understanding the tendencies of my partner at that time, and why we were having so much conflict in our relationship, it was because our personalities were at this point for me and at that point for her. And over the next few months, I was trying to explore what the Enneagram meant for me from my perspective as a person, as the challenger, my personality type 8, and also trying to find compassion for the person who is in this relationship with me. And we struggled for 3 or 4 more months, and then we decided to go our separate ways and call it quits in May of 2017 now. Gosh, that's almost 2 years ago. And the Enneagram has been such a pivotal moment in my life of self-discovery, gaining awareness of who I am, so that when I get lost, so that when the signal flare goes up and I can recognize it now that I'm not numbing my feelings with alcohol, I'm more truly like myself than ever before because of this tool. I'm able to see from a new perspective, yes, the person who's across from me, but also more importantly, the person that I am right now. And I have to extend another piece of gratitude for that process, for that 2 years worth of journey that I've been through self-discovery, awareness, using a tool like the Enneagram. And then about that same amount of time, maybe 2.5 years now, of being a member of a jiu-jitsu community, learning how to be humble every single day, learning how to get defeated and yet still fail forward. So if you haven't listened to episode 29 yet with John Eric Ross, please do so, because that episode we talk about failing forward, and it is such an integral conversation that I needed to have in order to discover that it's okay to fail as long as we keep moving forward. And that's what jiu-jitsu has taught me, is that day one, I'm not going to know anything. I'm not going to be an expert. I'm literally no longer a black belt in weight training, no longer a black belt in personal training. I'm now a white belt in jiu-jitsu. And that journey has taught me as much, if not more, in combination with the Enneagram, about myself than I'd ever learned to date through reading a book or through speaking to a counselor or to seeking out advice from my family members. I am more my individual, independent, strong, assured person now than I ever have been before. And jiu-jitsu and the Enneagram, in combination with counselor, weightlifting, and a proper nutrition program, have been the game changers for me. So that's an introduction to what we're going to talk about on the Friday version of the BBR podcast, guys. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. If you get a chance, head on over to the website, believeberealbebold.com, and book a call with me. It's about 30 minutes long. It's complimentary, and we can dive a little bit deeper into my journey and learn a little bit about where you are and where you want to go.